going to move us to esoteric Christianity. And I have a quote that is one of my very favorite quotes that I use whenever possible, and it's from St. Augustine. And it says, "What is now called the Christian religion has existed among the ancients and was never absent from the beginning of the human race until Christ came in the flesh. From that time on, the true religion which was already in existence began to be called Christianity." I love that quote. And here's kind of what it means to me. To me, it says that from the beginning of creation, humanity itself had this process of becoming Christed, and that the first collectives of individuals were centered around building that first chakra. They were spirit and matter plugged in together, learning to live spirit in the world of matter. The goddess religions primarily were focused at the second chakra. Most shamanistic work is focused at the second chakra. All of the mysteries we talked about last night, sexuality, birth, death, intuition, only at that time it was psychism, the shaman going into the astral world. The door to the astral world is the second chakra. So there was that spirit-matter relationship that was being participated in by the wiser ones of their people, by the shamans of their people. And then we moved to the next step, which was the law. Now we're beginning to develop a way that a number of tribes could come together. For Moses, let's say, to bring a number of tribes together and for them to establish an order that they could give up or minimize their fear of each other and their hostility toward each other. For them to come into living together, they had to have what today we know as the Ten Commandments, but it was a law by which these different societies could unite. So here we began, do this, don't do that, kind of understanding as a third layer of understanding. I'm using examples, but remember there's always some people a little ahead and there's always some lagging behind. But this new consciousness was very much fixed on right, wrong, do this, don't do that. And we had a law tradition. And it wasn't just the Hebrews, but I'm using that as an example because we came out of that. But it was clear, defined way. Buddha introduced the Noble Path and the teachings to say right action, right meditation, right occupation, right endeavors, all of that in the East. So then the next step was the message of Jesus as the Christ, where it began to be heart-centered. Love fulfills the law. But it's building this. And it continues as individuals will carry it forward. And right now, what I happen to believe is happening is that Christianity is maturing into the mystical aspect of its teachings. There have always been mystics. There have always been some ahead of us. But as a collective, now we are beginning to have more numbers, so it's making more people aware, more people creating a next step. And it really started when the mind science aspect of Christianity began to develop. Christian Science, religious science, divine science, all of this science of mind, those types were more mental, and they were beginning to carry us toward looking at how the inner and the outer work together, metaphysical, above the physical laws. Mystical awarenesses became where we could talk about it a little bit more. So this is that gradual emergence of the religion that is to help us all become Christed. And that's our real job, our real goal. So, esoteric Christianity then looks, and today, because of the Gnostic Gospels and because of the Dead Sea Scrolls and many discoveries, which I believe it was designed that that material was to be protected and held and withheld until a time that the people themselves were ready to take it, examine it, ready to put science side of themselves and the religious side of themselves back together after this period of separation and hostility. So we're looking at the hidden Gospels of the Christ as they emerge, and we're finding clues in them that Christianity wasn't always as it has been presented to us. That what we have is a very structured and organized, even in its divisions. There's this school of thought, this school of thought, and this school of thought, and this field of dogma, and this kind of dogma, and this kind of dogma. But the early Christian church was not like that. It was very, very diversified. In fact, it is generally written that the first 300 years of Christianity, it was more diversified than even we are today. Because today we're organized by denominations and sects. But at that point, people just accepted that this one that had been long awaited, whether they called it the God-man or the word Christos came out of the Greek, the Messiah, whatever language they used, that this long-awaited example of holiness incarnated has occurred. And now they were taking the teachings that that one had brought to the best of their understanding, and they were trying to formulate a way of life to live in harmony with those teachings. There is a statement that I like very much, I want to share with you, and it happens to be Neil Douglas Klotz, an Aramaic writer, who quotes this, and I want you to hear it. And it's from Matthew 7:17. A good tree brings forth good fruit, an evil tree brings forth evil fruit. You've all seen that in your Bible. When you go back to the Aramaic and it is translated, here's what it says. A ripe tree brings forth ripe fruit. An unripe tree brings forth unripe fruit. There was no connotation of the word evil. I mean, I just love to use that as an example